You've decided you're going to be active in politics, and that means collecting and spending money, and that means a committee. What kind of committee are you? What kind of committees are there? My name's Michael Price. I'm a political treasurer, and I'm here to help. Let's start by separating our committees into three broad categories. We have candidate committees, we have sponsored committees, and we have other types of committees. Now, a candidate-controlled committee are all going to be committees where a candidate either directly or through an agent has significant control over what the committee does, where it spends its money, where it gets its money, things like that. A sponsored committee is going to be a committee that's not controlled by a candidate by definition, and that has greater than 80% of all donations or cash income is going to be by a single either individual, business, or even a certain business industry. Other is going to be any of the committee types that aren't either candidate controlled or sponsored committees. So within our three major categories of committee, there are 11 common types. The first one of these is a campaign committee. Now, a campaign committee, by its definition, can really only be run by a candidate. This is the candidate's campaign committee. The candidate, by special rules, can give as much money as they want to that committee, and there are other donor rules depending on your locality or if it's a state-run campaign. Another common type is a primary ballot committee. Now, a primary ballot committee is one that spends 70% of or more of its money on something on a single ballot. Now, this can be at a state, county, or city level, but it has to all be on one ballot. And so a candidate can control one of these, a sponsor can sponsor one of these, and they can be not controlled or sponsored by a candidate. Another very common type is a primary candidate committee. And these are very similar to the primary ballot measure committees, and they can be run by the same type of individuals, except that instead of voting on ballot measures, they're voting on candidates or raising money for those candidates. Little less common and has fairly strict rules is a small contributor. It's a whole nother episode trying to describe what goes into being a small contributor committee, but a candidate can be in control of one of these and they can be in another one. By its definition, it can't be sponsored because all of its donations have to be below $200. Now, there's three different types of general purpose committees. General purpose committee is what you would most likely associate with as being a PAC. Now, a PAC, political action committee, is what's at a federal level very commonly. At the state level in California, these are called general purpose committees. And that's when you don't qualify to be a primary committee where your spending is all on one ballot. It's going to be on multiple ballots. Now, general purpose committee can be either at a city level where you still spend only on one city, or at least 70% in one city. It can be at a county level where 70% of your money is spent on either the county elections or cities within that county, or it can be at a state level general purpose committee where you're either spending your money on a state election or in multiple counties. And so a general purpose committee can be candidate controlled, it can be sponsored, and it can be neither of these two. You can also have a political party or central committee. It's known by either one of those names. Republican Party of Butte County would be a good example. Now, these can't be controlled by candidates. They really can't be sponsored, so those are going to go in the other. Something that's a little less common is a slate mailer committee. And these are committees that all they do is send out mass mailings, and they have their own set of reporting and restrictions. They cannot be candidate controlled, they can be sponsored, and they can be non-sponsored. Major donor is another odd type of committee. This is something that's triggered if you have spent more than $10,000 donating to one or more individuals running for office, not including your own candidate-controlled committee. So if I'm running for office, I can give more than $10,000 to my own committee and I won't become a major donor. But if I were to give $10,000 or more to other people running in the same election or in different elections, then I would trigger being a major donor. And a candidate can become one of these. A business or an individual can become one of these, and so that would put us in the other also. Lastly, we have independent expenditure committees. Now, all that independent expenditures committees do is they're just like a general purpose or a primary committee, except that they don't directly donate to any candidates. In fact, they can't even spend their money in coordination with the candidate. They need to independently pick someone to spend their money on with whatever sifting mechanism that they have and spend their money on it without them really knowing about it. Now, the reason why you'd want to be this and have to deal with these regulations is that they don't have a limit on how much money that they can spend. And these, by definition, can't be candidate controlled. They can be sponsored and they can be non-sponsored. And so as you can see here, we have quite a few different types of committees. With all of these, it can be confusing as to which one you are. If you go to my website at frontrunnercf.com, I have a nice spreadsheet that explains how these work, as well as a flow chart to figure out which one of these committees you fit in. Thank you for watching my video. I sure hope that it was useful. If it was, please make sure to let me know. If it wasn't, let me know. If you have any more questions or you want to submit future episodes, head on over to my website, frontrunnercf.com. You can also inquire about retaining me as your political treasurer.